Greetings. My name is Pastor Matthew Gay. I pastor Highland Baptist Church in Georgetown, Indiana. I just wanted to take a few moments to share with you a testimony. You can call it my Greek testimony, as I share with you about my journey of how I come to learn to read the Greek New Testament and how I use it for my ministry. And as I start off, I just want to say that I was not probably the most likely student to study Greek, let alone learn to use it in ministry. I didn't start off being the most studious student in high school. In fact, I actually failed the 10th grade. And my guidance counselor told me, he said, we have a program for students like you where you can go and study for your GED when you're 16 and then take your GED when you're 17, and then you'll be done with school. You'll have the equivalency of a high school diploma and you won't have to come back to school. And I thought, that's great. That's exactly what I want to do because I didn't like school. And I thought I can get done with my diploma and then just move on with life and never have to step foot in the classroom again. Well, the Lord began to work in my life a few years later. He began to call me to himself. I come to trust Christ, to embrace Christ and start serving him. And that radically transformed me. And it transformed my study habits. I began to have just a hunger and a desire and a thirst to study, especially the Bible, but other books on the Bible. And around this time, I began sharing some devotionals and getting some opportunities to teach. And during that, I began to feel called to ministry. And so my wife and I moved to Louisville, Kentucky to begin college. And as I was looking at the curriculum and thinking, okay, what do I want to study? I was thinking about being a pastor and everything you have to do as a pastor. You know, obviously we preach the word, but we also do counseling. You know, we lead meetings, we do, budgets and financial things in part. And so we may even do some plumbing or some painting or something. It seems like an endless number of things that you do in ministry. And how can you be an expert in everything? So I come to feel like if I majored in the Bible and come to be able to read the Bible well and study the Bible well, I'll be well equipped for ministry. The Bible was written in Greek, at least the New Testament was, so I felt like I needed to learn Greek. So I entered a degree program with 1 year of Greek and 1 year of Hebrew, and it was a great experience, but I come to realize I'm going to need more than just 1 year of Greek. And so I ended up minoring in Greek and then went on to seminary and had several exegesis courses all the way up to advanced Greek grammar. And it was a very rewarding experience. And I got to where I could work with the text pretty well. But along the way, people warned me. They issued a couple warnings to me. One was, Greek is great, but you're going to find out it's not the most practical thing in ministry. You're going to get in ministry and there's going to be crises. There's going to be marriages falling apart, and being able to parse a Greek verb may not be the most helpful thing for those folks. And I understand that, and that's a very valid thing. And I was blessed to have some counseling courses, but just like not 1 year of Greek isn't going to give you an expertise in Greek, 1 year of counseling is not going to make you an expert counselor. But the second thing that I heard was you're going to be tempted to commit Greek apostasy. And that's where you get in ministry and life is busy. You're picking up kids from practice. You're preparing sermons. You're maybe working another job. And you're going to fall away from Greek. You're not going to have time to keep it up. Well, I want you to know that actually the most important tool that I use in ministry is the Greek New Testament. Right now I'm preaching through the Gospel of John. And kind of the way I do it is I open up the text and just read it from the Greek, kind of work through it in the Greek, and then I copy and paste the text onto a word processor, do a phrase diagram, kind of just looking at the structure of the passage, seeing what stands out, kind of thinking through it. And then I look at that, work back through it, and just make my own notes, kind of my own grammatical notes, looking at discourse features, maybe doing word studies, and just kind of writing my own commentary. And then I go to the actual commentaries and I start with the most technical, like the Baylor or the exegetical guides for the Greek New Testament, and work my way down to the more traditional commentaries, New International Greek, New International New Testament, Baker, Pillar, those kind of commentaries. And then after I read through those, I just take all of this that I've looked at and get the main idea, my sermon points, and then I begin to write my sermon. And I find using Greek in the sermon preparation so helpful because it's not like you get a new meaning. It's not like you get some kind of hidden meaning or explosive new understanding. But I think for me, it helps me to slow down. It helps me to slow down and think through the text, think about what does this text mean? And then how can I say this to my audience? It also helps me to use those best resources, to be able to use the best resources available, whether it's BDAG or other dictionaries and reference works or the best commentaries, to follow those commentaries and to see some of the things that they've seen. If they have an insight that maybe I didn't see, I can go back to the text and actually see what they're talking about. We can even evaluate their arguments with a certain degree of humility to see if maybe we agree or disagree. We don't have to go on secondhand knowledge. We have access actually to the text. So I find it very helpful in sermon prep. Also for my devotional life, I always every day work through a passage in the Greek. I'm not on a reading plan. I'm not trying to read through the New Testament in a year or something. I just, whenever I have time for, I sit down. I may work through a page, maybe a chapter, maybe a whole book if it's a small book, maybe just a verse, and really trying to think devotionally. I may make a few grammatical notes, but I'm really wanting to write some devotional thoughts, and I'll do that every morning. And that's really been helpful for my life. And so I just wanted to share this with you as an encouragement to leave you with a few thoughts. The first of all, if I can do it, you can do it. That's the main thing I want you to get from this. If I can do it, if I can study Greek and learn to work with the Greek text, you can do it as well. The second thing is the time that you invest into studying Greek is not wasted. Maybe you don't go on to advanced Greek grammar. Maybe you don't go on to a PhD. But whatever time you do invest in studying Greek, it's time well spent. It's not going to be time wasted. And that's true of any courses that you do. It's certainly true of studying the Greek New Testament. Thank you for letting me share.